So when they were like, yeah, go get a friend to fight everybody, they went to go get a friend. Then the guys who came to the fight who was really nice, they was like, but they from Gilead within Ephraim. You understand? That's how they got that. So the greater Ephraim gonna come back and say, y'all know that y'all are just Ephraimites. So don't even know why y'all ran over there and stuff. And it hurt. You see what I'm talking about? When they told him, no matter what, you will never be nothing. It hurt. So the Gileadites said, oh, we scrapping now. And they fought. And they murdered each other at the banks of the Jordan River. Can I get a piece?
It's easier to destroy than to build up. After years of unity, we get tired of brotherly love, and we stop calling on our Father above, fighting for the glory, but for the glory of what?
Where is the godly love that brought nations up from dust? Where is the unity of righteousness among us? Shame and humiliation have now taken their place, family infighting between Gilead and Ephraim. When we stood together, close to each other in God, who could have knocked us down or touched upon our side? But we tore down each other, and thousands of us fell, not in a righteous battle, but by Cain's hand, Abel.
Judges 12. The men of Ephraim were called to arms, and they crossed to Zaphon and said to Jephthah, why did you cross over to fight against the Ammonites, and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house over you with fire. And Jephthah said to them, I and my people had a great feud with the Ammonites, and when I called you, you did not deliver me from their hand. And when I saw that you would not deliver me, I took my life in my hand and crossed over against the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim, and the men of Gilead smote Ephraim, because they said, you are fugitives of Ephraim, you Gileadites, in the midst of Ephraim and Manasseh. And the Gileadites took the fords of the Jordan against the Ephraimites, and when any of the fugitives of Ephraim said, let me over, the men of Gilead said to him, are you an Ephraimite? When he said no, they said to him, then say Shibboleth. And he said Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it right. Then they seized him and slew him at the fords of the Jordan, and there fell at that time 42,000 of the Ephraimites. Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died, and was buried in his city in Gilead. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters. He gave in marriage outside his clan, and 30 daughters he brought in from outside for his sons. And he judged Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and was buried at Bethlehem. After him, Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel. He judged Israel 10 years. Then Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried at Ajalon in the land of Zebulun. After him, Abdon the son of Hillel the Parathonite judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons, who rode on 70 asses, and he judged Israel 8 years. Then Abdon the son of Hillel the Parathonite died, and was buried at Pirathon in the land of Ephraim, in the hill country of the Amalekites. Thanks, Lord. Yeah.
Special guest today. You guys ready? We got Judges 12. Guess you think you got it? What you got? Lost in translation. Oh, that's not bad. Lost in translation. That's not bad. Bear? Communicate? Okay, that's not bad. Oh, so your hand came up late. You thinking of something? Ellie. A house divided against itself shall not stand. Oh, okay. Anybody? Got to guess on what the title's going to be? That's it? Azaria. Football, what up? Hannah. You didn't tell me one in a long time. You used to tell me one all the time. Good. All right. Here we go. Blessed are the peacemakers. Or can I get a piece? Yeah. Blessed are the peacemakers. Or can I get a piece? Jephthah. We heard last time about how he went out and did his thing to be able to push back the Ammonites, Ammon and them, from the oppression of the land. He had to sacrifice his own daughter and stuff like that. We talked about that last time. So you guys know that everything that you hear going on in Judges that the people do, everything is not all good because they got a eclectic, that's what I described it as last time, an eclectic belief set. They have an amalgam of different things that they believe because they have the religion that comes from the way, that comes from the Bible, but they also have the people who come in from all around them and give them other different cultures. The Baalists, the pagans, people who give them other types of religion, like, for instance, human sacrifice, where we see at parts of time in Israel, the Hebrews would actually start to sacrifice human beings. And so this guy, he left out his house saying, God, oh, if you're going to help me win, if we can win this, when it push the Ammon back, I will sacrifice a human being. I'm going to sacrifice the first person to come up from out my bedchamber. It happened to be his daughter. I told you what I think the confusion was. He thought it was going to be somebody else. That's what I think. Anyways, all that happened. And let's just say there's peace in the land. There's peace in the land, or let's just say Jephthah is on his way back. And the Ephraimites, they've become a quarrelsome group of men. You know, quarrelsome. Like picking fights and stuff. But the thing with the Ephraimites, they like to quarrel, pick little fights and stuff. You know, hitting and punching and all of that. They didn't really want to do no war against nobody else at this point. They have been known, everybody from that area, I want to tell y'all this. Everybody from that side of Jordan, everybody from that area, as far as Ephraim, Manasseh, and Gilead, they were all known to be legitimate warriors. I told y'all that before. So I'm not taking nothing off of them. But when you ain't got nothing else better to do, are you there? I'm telling you that these men were all known as legitimate warriors. They were all pretty nice with their fighting skills, their ability to be able to defend the nation. And they were called on multiple times to defend the nation of Israel. And they always delivered Israel because they had that skill set. But when you ain't got nothing else better to do, you don't have no guidance, a lot of times you're going to take that type of energy and instead of putting it towards something productive for the nation, you're going to focus it inward. That's why Eli was coming up with a nation divided against itself. And so instead of fighting the evil forces outside that cause oppression, you end up quarreling with your brother. You end up fighting and arguing with your brothers and stuff, trying to be a big shot at the house, in the crib, instead of focusing your attention outward on your energy outward on things that's going to matter. This is problematic. This is not the first time we heard Ephraim did that. Y'all remember? What? Yeah. When Gideon was coming back to the crib, Gideon was smooth though. When Gideon was coming back to the crib from his victory, I forgot who he beat back. He the 5 kings. Gideon beat them kings back. Gideon beat them kings back and brought 2 kings back. And then the Ephraimites ran up on Gideon and was like, why you didn't call us? Because we wanted to scrap too. But Gideon was smooth. He said, well, listen, my bad, but look, you can still go scrap if you want to. And he said, they over there running. But Gideon had already won. They were fleeing. And so the Ephraimites went and chased them down and got some more stuff from them and beat them up a little bit more. You see what I'm talking about? Playing games and stuff. They're going to try to start a beef with Gideon so they could get in on the action. But they know very well if they wanted to get in on the action that they could have. Here they come again. And Jephthah called them out because Jephthah liked that. He not really smooth like Gideon. He the one that'll just tell you what's going on right to your face. You know what I'm talking about? So Jephthah was like, man, stop fronting. I called y'all. And everybody knew about how we were being oppressed by Ammon. So stop it. You guys are coming up trying to start beef after the fact because you guys, first of all, ain't got nothing else better to do. Okay? You ain't got nothing else better to do. And second of all, you're trying to get your rocks off and try to always keep a reputation in Israel that you were like that, but you've been stopped being like that. You don't go out to defend Israel no more. You just do a bunch of infighting and arguing. You keep a bunch of nonsense, but you really are not about that life anymore of defending the nation. That's what Jephthah said. And true to what he's saying, Ephraim was like, well, look, you better be ready to scrap since you talking like that. And they went for it. Here's a little backdrop that I want to tell y'all real quick, so y'all understand a little bit deeper what's going on. The reason why it all popped off and it couldn't get smoothed out like when they got smoothed out with Gideon, are y'all there? Is because the Ephraimites, going to try to play the Gileadites because the Gilead had started to defend the nation. And they basically going to tell them, you guys aren't really legit because really you're just our little brothers. You'll never have no name on your own. So you guys are calling yourself Gileadites? There's no such thing. Ooh. You see how they talking to them? They're going to dig under their skin because they know them. You understand? And that's what infighting is. Infighting is different than when you're trying to defend a nation and you're fighting against the oppressor. And it's a lot more complex and it can do a lot more damage. Did you hear what I said? The reason why is because when you fight within your own family, when you find yourself quarreling with people that you know, they know you and you know them well. And you guys know how to hurt one another. You see that? If you can fight against an enemy, then he doesn't know you and you don't know him. And so some of it is chance and some of it is skill. But as he goes to throw a punch or a kick, you see it coming, you try to move or you try to block it. Then you throw one. If you can land one flush, then hey, you in the money. You might win. You understand? But if you're fighting against a true enemy, a true oppressor that is a true enemy that's outside your house, part of the fight is trying to get to know each other. You see that? It's not a fight at all. Part of the fight is trying to understand how strong is this guy? How fast is he? How does he move? Oh, do I see any tendencies that I can exploit? And you try to figure that out maybe within 1 or 2 minutes. Okay? A fight, real serious, quick fights between men don't last no more than 5 minutes. Really 3. You see what I'm saying? Really 3. This is how they last 3 minutes. 2 minutes you spend trying to figure each other out. And then the 1 minute, once you figure them out, you go ahead and finish him off. So it's really 1 minute of fighting that happens because that's all it takes to subdue another man and to take his life. You understand? Take just 3 minutes. 2 minutes to figure him out. And when you figured him out, 1 minute and he finished. That's why I'm saying to you guys, blessed are the peacemaker, because men are violent and it could be over your whole life that could have lasted a long time could be over very quickly. You understand what I'm talking about? And really for no reason at all. You see what I'm saying? Other than some quarrelsome foolishness that could have been resolved. You understand? So when you're fighting against an enemy, you got to figure him out first. You see? And then you can do the fight. But the infighting against your own family members is a lot more dangerous and fatal than that. You understand what I'm talking about? Because y'all know each other already. Those fights shouldn't last long at all. But those fights could be a lot more vicious. You understand what I'm talking about? Because you're looking to exploit something that you typically shouldn't know as an enemy. But you do know because you've been posing as a family member. You understand? So this little infight that they got going on is pretty deep because they know each other. They came up with each other. And the first thing, what is going to pop off since they know each other is they're going to sling some mud and hurt each other's feelings real bad. So the first thing that the friend going to say that ensures the fact that this is going to go down and they're going to lose some lives and blood will be shed is they're going to say, Gilead, you don't even exist. Let's just face it. Nobody, when they go back to Jacob, when they go back to Abraham, no one will ever know your name because there was only 12 brothers. I'm about to show y'all something. He's going to look them in the eye and say, y'all little tribe that y'all talking about doesn't even exist because there was only 12 brothers. Are y'all there? Y'all know the 12 brothers? Yeah, y'all remember? A lot of them maybe. But check this out. Let me show you how infighting and amongst family is so dangerous and wicked, and it yields such gruesome results. A lot of times, it's just based in hurting one another, but nobody has repented, and a lot of times, a lot of hypocrisy in it. You heard what I said? When you fight within the family, instead of being peaceful and loving one another to build each other up, it could be a lot more gruesome and a lot more dangerous because of the familiarity, but a lot of it is based in hypocrisy. because you guys share the same faults and stuff like that. The same principality is attacking you guys. They're going to say to Gilead, you're not legit because you don't have a name within the 12 brothers. But the person saying it is Ephraim and Manasseh, the half tribe. The last brother is Benjamin, but before him is Joseph. But no, there's no such thing as Ephraim and Manasseh. You understand? But Joseph, in a special situation, because of what he did in Egypt, said, take my name off and just put my two sons' names under Jacob. So that and I'll split my inheritance with both of my sons. You understand? Because Jacob was doing this. Remember that? Splitting the blessings up. And Joseph tried to cure that by saying, no, well, both of my sons will take an inheritance, but they'll take half and half. So what you have is the two half tribes, one named Ephraim, one named Manasseh. But really, it should be just called what? The Josephites. So you have supposed to be the Josephites, which are, watch this, Ephraim and Manasseh and Gilead. Gilead didn't exist as one of the brothers, but it's the land that they adopted and called it that. You understand? And they became known as the men in Ephraim who were super talented with them fighting skills. You understand? So it's a smaller part of Ephraim of really skilled dudes who was like, so when they were like, yeah, go get Ephraim to fight everybody, they went to go get Ephraim. Then the guys who came to the fight who was really nice, they was like, but they from Gilead within Ephraim. You understand? That's how they got that. So the greater Ephraim gonna come back and say, y'all know that y'all are just Ephraimites. So don't even know why y'all ran over there and stuff. And it hurt. You see what I'm talking about? When they told them, no matter what, you will never be nothing. It hurt. So the Gileadites said, oh, we scrapping now. And they fought. And they murdered each other at the banks of the Jordan River. Can I get a piece? Because the Gileadites just wanted a piece of the inheritance to say, we're legit in Israel. That desire to be somebody is what causes them to push back against Amon and causes them to say to Ephraim, we are here and we want to be respected and dignified. Can I get a piece? But blessed are the peacemakers. Those who come in the name of peace is a different situation. You understand? And so they came to the Jordan River to cross back over, to go home. And the guys from Gilead is going to say to the guys from Ephraim, we're not letting you back over unless you basically deny yourself and say that you're a Gileadite to humiliate them. You understand? And so the guys were humiliated. And then they said, well, yeah, I'm not no Ephraimite. You see what they did? See how they did them? What I'm trying to tell you guys that infighting is a lot more vicious. And there's no dignity in it. So the war was over and they could have just let them go back home. You understand? But instead they said, first say that there's no such thing. This is what the Gileadites said, because what the Ephraimites had said to them. First, we want you to say that there's no such thing really as Ephraim. That's basically how that boils down. That's not it's literally what they said, but that's basically how it boils down. You guys told us that we didn't exist, but we whipped your tail. Now you want to get back home. We need you to denounce Ephraim, who is that's your name. You got to denounce your own name to get back home. You see that what I'm saying? That it could be a lot more vicious and a lot more damaging with the infighting within the family. You understand? So they was coming back and they made them denounce that. And then after they denounced it, that wasn't enough. So they gonna make them denounce it, and then the guy say, "Nah, I'm not from Ephraim," knowing that everybody knowing that they from Ephraim. You see what I'm talking about? But they made them denounce it, and they could have just left it at that, and then everybody would have known. All the guys that came back over to Jordan, they got beat, and they ended up denouncing their own name. So there's nothing really could be worse than that, is it? But then they're gonna say, because their dialects was a little bit different, they're gonna say to them, "Well, say this word." It's like say uncle. You know what I'm talking about? A little bit extra. We want you to say this word then to prove it. They could have just let him go knowing he was lying. They had got beat at war, but they're going to say this word to prove it. That's what they were saying to all the men. And the word that they had them say is shibboleth. But they jeering at them because they saying, even though you claim that you're original part of Israel, you guys are so uneducated. You're of a lower class that your language is ghetto. Because you can't even pronounce a SH sound. You only just have shibboleth like that. You don't know the H letter. You see what I'm saying? So what they saying is words like, Shabbat, the Sabbath. You can't even you claiming that you're part of the original tribes of Israel, but you can't even say the actual you can't even pronounce the actual most important day in our culture because you can never make the SH sound. That's what they saying to these guys. So the guys are looking like it's like a triple. Now they getting down on them real heavy. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? So they telling them, first of all, deny that you ever was from a friend. Now that you denied that, I done took your dignity on that. Basically, take off all your clothes. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not whatever that they was gonna do was never gonna be enough for the Gileadite. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because he was gonna keep humiliating to him till there was nothing left. I'm talking about interfamilial conflict and how it has the ability to remove the dignity way worse than what any actual enemy ever could. You understand what I'm talking about? It's why it's dangerous. Okay? The Gileadites want a piece of Israel and legitimacy. The Ephraimites are saying you will never be legit. Now the Gileadites have prevailed against them, and they're saying denounce your own name. And then after they did that, they saying say this word that we know you can't say because you're a low down person in Israel anyway. And so they tried to say it but couldn't say it. This is our Father showing us the demonic principality that tears families apart, and why He says that we're supposed to love our Father with all our heart and then love each other so that we can build each other up. And that's what I'm trying to preach to you guys today into the new year. That one of the probably what you're looking for this year. I want to show y'all something. You've probably been opposed in different things by any different person. But what I'm saying to you is that what is being presented here is that probably the most difficult thing that you're going to be confronted with that will push you and hold you back and keep you down is your own inability to love one another within your own nation. That's what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say is, with the Father and with the Son and with the Holy Spirit, and you're in the way, since the Father had already promised to fight all of your battles for you, you understand what I'm talking about, then the least of your worries is the enemies from without, because we like to focus on them. But what I'm trying to say is, you should take care of home amongst your own brothers and sisters and stuff, because that's going to be probably the amount of greatest pressure that could do you the most damage. And that's why, as a parent, as a custodian over you young people, I really try to bring you guys together to tell you that in your generation of young people, you guys have an opportunity to love one another as a family. And don't get started in the way of tearing each other down and infighting, because you will find that you could go very far and achieve a lot because the enemy don't got no answer for you. You understand? Ammon is one of the mightiest nations around there. That's top. And they didn't have no answer for just a segment of Israel. You understand? And really the smallest segment. You understand? They didn't have no answer for them. But the problem with Israel is, who said it? A house divided against itself can't stand. The problem with Israel is they're jealous of one another. And they hate on one another. And what I'm trying to tell you guys as a young generation is that you don't have to have that. You can love one another deeply and support one another. And everybody can get a piece. I mean, everybody can have peace. So they tell them, say this word. This is the irony of how we know that's what our Father is saying. That Israel doesn't understand. The people of Israel don't understand what's going on at all right now. They're so confused. And they've picked up so many different cultures. They now tear each other down. The enemy don't have to do it. The irony of it, you guys, is that the word that they're going to choose, okay, and the two syllables that they're going to choose, that SH, it's like, shh, you know what I mean? Kind of like, calm down. Like, shh, like, be quiet. Shh, let's have some peace. But the SH for the Shabbat is what? A day of resting coming together. And the SH for Shibboleth is the ear of the grain. You know what the grain is. This one. The grain. Every time that you hear our Father talk about the grain, then you're talking about the peace offering, the free will offering. That's the grains. The one to pray for the Lord of the harvest, bringing everybody in and bringing everybody together. And so the word shibboleth is the word that says the very thing that we need for peace as a nation from within. You got another one? Shalom. You see that? It's the Father saying, you guys are using this as a division. The SH. You see what I'm talking about? Between you. But I never meant it for that. You see what I mean? That when you hear that word, it's supposed to bring across everybody a feeling of great peace and togetherness. And this is how far that Israel has fallen. You understand? And it's something that has to be repented for and corrected. You guys do a fairly good job amongst each other. Are you taking the bread? You all do a fairly good job of getting along with one another. Okay? But you're young, too. But every now and then, I see some quarreling. Don't I, friend? Every now and then, I see some tearing down from within. Our Father says, if you could but master to love one another, then you will all have peace. And you can inherit the kingdom of heaven. You can all get a peace. I mean, there can be peace. And so let's focus in. Into this new year of trying to have harmony together as a family. Okay? And let us not be torn apart from within. Building each other up, not tearing each other down. Amen. I bless you this day, all of you all. In the name of our Father, Yah, and I pray that He does bless you and keep you and cause His face to shine upon you and is gracious to you. That He lifts up His countenance upon you and gives you peace. I pray that in His name, in the name of the Son, the Christ, the Messiah, Yeshua. And in the name of our Father, Yah's most Holy Spirit, Yahuwah. Amen.